Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I am joined by my co-host, Christy. Christy, how are we today?
I feel like we're the same. We're here. We're alive.
We are getting
We're tired.
Yes, but we do have some fun news to talk about, along with some less fun news that we will hit on first, and then talk about all of the fun stuff. Actually, we have big news.
We do have big news. There's like a big unexpected press release that came out this morning.
Yes, so we will touch on that one last, but we're going to go ahead and get right into this because we do have quite a bit to catch up on. We did not do a news segment last month, so we've got a little bit from all around the fleet to talk about, some cool and exciting things from all around as well. Christy, do you want to take us off with some of our less exciting stuff?
All right, so Disney Cruise Line is sending out emails and starting to let people know what you can't bring onto their ships. And I think it's just because they needed to make this a news story because enough people were trying to bring things on that they shouldn't. So surge protectors, and even if it says on Amazon that it's safe for cruises, it doesn't mean it might be safe, and Disney might put it in luggage jail. Irons and steamers. You can use the ship's irons that are on each of the Disney Cruise Line ships to iron your clothes. You cannot bring drones. So even if you were going to use it for another part of your vacation, Disney Cruise Line is not going to let you bring it on your trip. You cannot bring weapons, firearms, and ammunition. And so you need to store those items elsewhere if they are coming with you on your vacation for any reason. And then you cannot bring illegal narcotics, including marijuana, even if it's legal where you reside. And this is a big one, and actually, or the paraphernalia that somebody might have for that. This is a big one that's coming up TSA all over the place because people are like, oh, I'm allowed to have it, or I have a prescription, or I have this or that. It's not allowed. So, and it's federally illegal. And because these are cruise ports and at the airports as well, it's that much worse to have it. So don't travel with it. It's just not good. So that is my mommy, don't bring this on vacation with you news story. It's very exciting.
Lots of fun. Well, I'll go ahead and take this second one here. Okay. We do have some all aboard times changing for some select ships on select sailings. If you have been affected by this, you should have already actually received an email or C-mail.
Yeah, they haven't gone out yet, because it's for the fall. And so I have clients that have those sailings in the fall and they haven't gone out yet. So apparently they're going out, but I think because they're it's so far into the future, some of these times, but you can discuss the times.
Oh, I guess it does say will receive C-mails, but we're here to tell you this is only affecting the Disney Magic and the Disney Wish. And this begins September 2nd. Basically, all aboard time is changing from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m. So all guests must be on board by 3 p.m. on sailings on the Wish and the Magic after September 2nd. Pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, easy. And really, it just means your vacation starts earlier. So, I mean, this is a good thing, unless you had a late arriving situation.
Yeah, I feel like this affects locals more than it does anyone else. Like people who cruise so frequently that they can roll up at 3 or 4 p.m. after everyone's already on board. But let's be honest, most of us want to be on the ship at 11, 12 o'clock as soon as we can.
You know, Steve and I recorded an episode that ended up not getting aired because something happened with the audio and who knows what else. But about 6 years ago, Dave actually had a medical issue when we were boarding the ship and we had to go to the hospital. And we actually got back to port at 4 o'clock. And we were the last people, literally the last people anywhere. They were already lined up to do the lifeboat drill. And we walked into the port. And then because it was medical, because we were on the ship and had to leave the ship and had to come back to the ship, we had to get cleared one more time. It was wild. But so I know what it's like to be the very last people to exit a ship from Port Canaveral. But Yeah. So don't do that. Don't be the last people. It's stressful anyway. The next news story is that through one more month, we have one more month through October 9th, Disney Cruise Line is offering half off deposits for some new, but some cruise reservations. So it's available on the Wonder, Dream, Magic, and Wish. And there are certain sailings. You can reach out to your travel agent to ask or look online, but there are certain sailings that they're giving 50% off the deposit. You still have to pay it, but you could pay it. Why pay today what you can pay later? So it gives you another, more months to pay for the other half of the deposit. So if you were looking and you wanted less money to be paid for the start of your Disney vacation, you can look into that.
It does make the entry cost less.
Yes.
And if you're someone who's looking to pay it in small increments, I think that does make it more accessible to a family.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't we go ahead before we get into new and shiny, talk about something else getting a little bit of new and shiny. The Dream released some of its concept updates for its future dry dock coming at the end of the summer here. And we don't have a whole lot because I feel like a lot of these concepts don't really affect everyone.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, there's I think two that most people will see, but first one is it's getting a funnel dream suite. They are taking away the spaces where I believe the Edge currently resides, as well as the multi-purpose space above that.
I mean, the Edge was taking up the smallest little bit of space in there. Did you go in there at all when we were on the Fantasy? No. It was like my home office, I think, was the same size. They were giving the Edge in that particular room. And then they didn't have a bathroom in there. So who knows? It would seem to me that the dedicated space might actually have a place for people to wash their hands or go to the restroom. So it's not the worst, but I don't understand the funnel suite. I mean, sure, it's very cool because you haven't walked through it, I guess, for any reason, right? There was no opportunity. Okay. It's a very cool space, beautifully designed, but there's no outside space. You have to go outside to get to the lounge. So if it's raining, which, it does, if the weather's bad, you're like getting those elements to get into the lounge access. It's a further walk to the lounge. So I don't exactly understand the draw as much about the funnel suite, but also I guess maybe it's just to be able to say that you were there.
Well, I guess if they're willing to put it into the ship, it means that it is currently selling out on the current offers that ships have for it. So it is apparently worth the investment for them. Again, not a update that will affect too many. One that will affect many, though, is that they are revamping the youth spaces, which I think is good. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen kind of what the next level can be with the Wish. So it is nice to see that they're basically bringing some of that detail that the Wish youth spaces has into the more classic ships.
Yeah, there's going to be a worldwide engineering brigade, WEB for short, that is swinging into the Oceaneer Club. I mean, right? That's just cute. Kids are going to love that kind of theming.
Yeah, and WEB is a Marvel. It's part of their theme park branding for their Marvel. I don't even know what the Marvel land is called. Avengers Campus. That's what it is.
I know what it is. It's on the tip of my tongue.
But then sticking with the use spaces, of course, we just talked about the Edge leaving the funnel. It is moving to Deck 5. I am not 100% sure where, but it does say that they're going to have an outdoor deck with a ball pit and recreational games.
Hello, open house. I am here for that. Were you a part of the text chain where Steve was texting about like, oh, Christy, would you hate this? Are you kidding? I want an adult ball pit so bad.
Christy, I'm not going to lie. You are the last person I would ever expect to be excited about a ball pit.
Listen, we can wash our hands. We can change our clothes. This is fun. It's a fun place. They're making fun of me because of germs, which is, I think, what Steve was making fun of me for as well. But I can wash my hands. I want to go in a ball pit. There was a pop-up in Detroit, like just before the COVID times, and I couldn't ever make it to it, but it was an adult ball pit, basically, that seemed so cool. So no, I'm here for that.
I love it. I will jump in the ball pit for sure, either way. But then our last little sneak peek that we have for the dream is that the concierge lounge is getting an update. Again, not a space that I've seen before, but I can see the concept for the after, and it looks very much fine. Chrissy, you have any input on that?
I am curious because it looks like it's bigger, and I can't quite figure out how they would do that because the ship is designed in such a way that I don't see how they can make that bigger, but it is airy and open, and I like that for it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not an area I have experienced or will likely experience at least often in the future.
Can we go back to the Edge and Vibe for a second? So it does talk about the Edge is getting a new space on deck 5, and then the Edge, and there will be the ball pit and the Edge for the Edge and Vibe. And then I think the only place, and that there's outdoor space. The only spot that I think that can occur is where the Vibe currently has space. So maybe they're going to like divide it up, or they're going to make it where certain hours, certain ages can be at the hour at that club at certain times. Maybe that's a shared space that they'll divide by, you know, this is the time for Edge, this is the time for Vibe. Because I'm staring at a deck plan, unless they get rid of cabins, there really isn't another way to do that outdoor space. So I wonder if they're just sort of dividing up the space somehow.
Yeah, I don't know, because it sounds like they're completely redoing it, because they're also adding like a club lounge and dance floor section as well. So maybe they have found a way to expand it. That would be good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to get somebody on there. Like, we need our listeners to report back. Very curious how that'll be.
And then our last update from the dream is that the spa is getting an update.
Yeah.
Which
good for them.
We do occasionally use the spa, actually, and we've used the spa on the dream.
There is a very important update we forgot about.
What's that?
They're getting a Donald, well, I don't know if it's going to be Donald's, but cantina.
Oh, yes.
So delicious selection of tacos, burritos, and bowls, and they are delicious and they are not wrong. And I love that update.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that more of the deck food options are being updated, but adding that is definitely a net positive. I wonder though if it's like just taking over one of those like doors there. Like, that's what I would guess that they're doing. Because some of those like sections there at the Flo's Cafe are kind of redundant.
Exactly.
Like,
and they
you
don't
can serve
all need
chicken tenders and hot dogs and burgers out of the same window.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, that is the other update that I think most people will be happy about for sure. But then that takes us into our new and upcoming changes here. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the treasure. We have a couple different things to hit on. First off, they did talk a little bit about some of the food menus as well as the dining experiences coming to the treasure. Big takeaways here is you can see some of the concept menu for the Coco restaurant. And they did mention that the Coco restaurant, because these are 7-night sailings, you were going to dine twice at each of the restaurants and probably have a pirate night as a night. So there will be 2 different experiences for the Plaza de Coco, which I would imagine still are both going to be very musically themed type entertainment.
Yes, I think so too.
But honestly, like, that sounds super exciting.
Right.
Like that type of music, the type of food, all of the concept for the food looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And then our second dining related update is basically that they revealed the show for the second World of Marvel dining night will be Groot themed. It is, I believe, specifically Baby Groot here. Let me get that one pulled up real quick. Yes, there it is. So the story follows Groot as he brings his guests along for an on-screen quest to throw the ultimate surprise party for his friend Rocket.
Okay.
All the while, diners eat to the beat of awesome mix of hit songs and can test their knowledge of Marvel Universe with trivia for the whole family. Honestly, this sounds better than the current story. I mean, I love the Awesome Mix soundtrack quite a bit. Guardians are probably my favorite franchise of the Marvel stories, so this sounds like a win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And it'll probably be a little bit more enjoyable for everyone, because I mean, everyone likes the music from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's old pop songs.
That's true.
It's pretty much caters to most generations pretty easily.
Oh, okay. So this is me reading the news story, because so they're definitely going to do it. It seems like they're doing the same show from
The Wish. Yes.
One night.
Quantum Encounter
Yes.
is still happening.
And then this will be the second or first or second, right? This will be the second show. And yeah, so then the question and answer, like the trivia, will occur at the same time as the birthday party planning. I'm curious how all that's going to work in one show.
I think it'll be pretty similar, where just like the current show, you know, they come on and they talk about what's going on. And then in between, right now, it's literally just like action highlights. And instead, it's going to be trivia.
That's true.
And fun music. So,
Amber would love this. She is going to want this. I don't know. Also, if you guys listen to this show like tomorrow, the stories will still be there. Amber's been putting up question trivia on our Instagram stories, and it's very creative and she's very funny. And I know there's a highlight, so if you miss it, you can go back and look at the highlight, but definitely check that out. It's so fun when Amber is in the groove and updates Instagram, because you could definitely tell the difference between when I post something and when she posts something. It's much more creative. All right, what do we got next?
Sorry, I was muted. We have one more update from the treasure here. The Mystery Lounge that we have all been waiting to see what it was. We all thought that it was going to tie into the Aladdin theme of the rest of the atrium, because on the Wish, obviously, what is the name of that lounge?
The Nightingales?
Nightingales, yes, obviously plays into the Cinderella theme of the lobby statue there. However, this is not the case for the treasure. We are getting the Scat Cat Lounge, which is going to be Aristocat themes. This, even from the concept images, looks to take up about the same footprint, same layout, same place on the ship. It is just going to be a slightly different themed. It does look pretty cool. It looks a little bit brighter, a little bit louder in there, but still like cool and elegant, a little kind of like jazzy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that type of lounge. So they did something similar on the Magic. So I feel like it's going to be very similar to that. The Magic, right?
Yeah. The Magic just got the Soul Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Katie and I have spent quite a bit of time in Nightingales on our last Wish sailing. It's a little bit small. It gets pretty full, but it is definitely like one of the best places to go to listen to music at night. And then that brings us into our Asian ships.
Yeah, there was a lot released since our last news story. A lot.
Yeah, so we are going to go ahead and talk about the Adventure. Basically, the Adventure got like a full reveal of general ship layout and concepts. One thing that I think is pretty interesting that was laid out here is we got the map similar to what we got with the Wish, that shows the ship as an island and the different segments or areas on the ship. But what kind of stuck out to me here is, of course, Disney did not design the ship. They are working with the footprint they have. And this is very much the concept of like the large Royal Caribbean ships where you have the different districts. And this is basically them like retrofitting that kind of concept to fit Disney's need. So we do have all of the different districts here. You have the Imagination Garden, you have the Discovery Reef, San Francisco Street, Wayfinder Bay, you have Town Square, Marvel Landing, and then a Toy Story place.
I mean, it looks like anyway, there's going to be so much to do on the ship, and you will have 3 and 4 night cruises in which to do it. So they did also basically say that they were magical cruises to nowhere, essentially. And so, yeah, you'll have a lot of time to check out these areas. They also discussed the size of the ship, and it's going to have 6,700 guests. And what I found interesting is the footprint wasn't that much larger than like the Oasis class ships, or isn't. And yet there's a lot more people. And so there's definitely potentially going to have the capacity to have a lot more people on board.
Yeah, they did still cut it down though, because I believe the initial capacity of the original design was like 8,000 or 8,500 guests. Like,
but that's with crew, it's the same. And so I wonder if it was that many guests or sailing persons.
I would have to look.
Yeah.
I do think they cut it down because I believe the original plan was that those staterooms were going to be like tiny.
I feel like they still are going to be tiny.
They probably will be smaller, but some of that may be more of gearing towards a different market.
Right.
That I am definitely not as familiar with. Again, I don't even know if this ship will be attainable for most of us to sail on.
No, I think there will be a draw for sure of individuals. I already have different friend groups and people that are already looking forward to making their way out there and then trying to get into some of the Asian parks. So yes, I think some of us that reside in the United States will be heading over to check her out. But yeah, we're gonna need some correspondence to let us know what it's like.
Yeah, but they released all sorts of information on the treasure. That was really like the high level. I mean, they have descriptions of each of these different
adventure,
lands.
You mean?
Yes, the adventure. What did I say? The treasure?
Yeah.
Whoops. Adventure, treasure, magic, dream.
I know.
We went from 4 lowly ships to now, most excitingly, we are adding an 8th ship, though it is not technically being added to the Disney Cruise Line fleet.
Correct.
But that is not all bad because it is being basically paid for and ran by Oriental Land Company, who currently runs the Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea resorts, which are probably unarguably the best and most beautiful Disney resorts in the whole world.
Yep. And yes, everybody agrees with that.
Yes. So the Oriental Land Company and Disney basically made a deal that Meyer Werft is going to be building another Triton class ship, a Wish sister, for the Oriental Land Company to host sailings out of Japan. So again, this probably same exact size, same exact stateroom layout and everything of the Wish. I don't think they have any plans to make these ships any bigger or certainly not smaller. But that is not all bad. What is definitely going to be fun to watch this one is the developments of what they do differently with these spaces. Now, there are 2 different ways this could go, depending on what Oriental Land Company wants. Now, if you followed any of the Fantasy Springs, any of the new stuff that has come out, you know, they spare no expense, as our friend John Hammond would say, and everything is bigger and to the max, which means we could definitely get some very, very exciting concepts and some very unique things heading to Disney Cruise Line. And while we may not see them on any of our ships here in the future, they could eventually make their way by either retrofit or further new ships in the future. So I definitely do hope that they push the boundaries here. The only other way they could go is when Oriental Land Company originally built Tokyo Disneyland, because it was their first soiree into that, they basically requested, we need an exact Disneyland clone. Now we all know it's not exact and they've changed it since then. I don't think that's the route they're going to go, but it does not mean that them playing it safe with a concept like the Wish or the Treasure is not out of the question. And we see some repeats of popular spaces.
And it does say that this ship is being constructed with the assistance of Walt Disney Imagineering. So I do think that it'll mirror more of what we have than be that different. Yes.
Yeah. Well, imagine even now, like Imagineering is still involved with the design. It's just that Oriental Land Company will bankroll whatever it takes to make things absolutely top notch. So again, if we see that, bring them to the ships, which is probably an area where I feel like they already are doing a pretty good job when compared to some of the recent park entries. I just think there is some really cool possibilities there.
It looks like this ship is going to come out in fiscal year 2028, which I think it's going to be the same concept where it starts in October. There was another, and this was from the Oriental Land Company press release saying the date, and everything, like all the US papers basically said 2029. So because it's fiscal year, it's the end of the year. And then I think it'll really launch in 2029. So we've got a ways to go before people are hopping on a flight to go to Japan. And then the Oriental Land Company press release also indicated that these were going to be mainly short distances departing from and arriving at ports around Tokyo metropolitan area. So more
Magic at sea.
Magic at sea sailings.
Yeah. So probably a lot of 2, 3, 4 nights to nowhere type of style. But again, if your interest is seeing that ship and seeing what they do with it, still sounds pretty cool.
And going over to go to the parks. You know, this could be one of the situations where you fly over and do the Disney cruise first to get acclimated on time and time zone and just get your body used to it. Have something familiar, different but familiar, and then go to the parks after. Whereas most people would say, like, go to Walt Disney World first and then go on your cruise so that you can sort of relax. But in this case, you can like be ready for the time change or in the situation and then switch over.
Yeah, this is a hard one because there is so much in just Japan and Tokyo alone. I have a friend over there right now and their updates are like insane.
Oh my God, so cool.
Yes, I love it. But Christy, we powered through this news segment here.
I'm impressed with us.
We stayed on point, which is good.
That's boring.
Got through it sometimes. But no, I mean, lots of updates. Unfortunately, lots of updates for, again, our foreign ships.
I think that we will get more of something in maybe the Destiny schedule. Ooh, that's probably what we're going to get. The Destiny release dates and schedule after D23. So, which is just a little over a month away. So we'll definitely have news to discuss with you then.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just like with the treasure, we kind of know what to expect. You know, it's not, the Wish was big and exciting because it's been, you know, well over a decade since we had a new ship. But now with the treasure and the Destiny, while we're getting different themes, it's a little bit more rinse and repeat. Right. I mean, still exciting that we hopefully will eventually see, you know, new ports, new itineraries. But then these new fun concepts that we have are almost unattainable to many.
Right. Start saving those miles. Get into points, credit card.
Gosh, and now we have another ship that we have to guess the name on. I don't even know. No, I don't even know what this one. Treasure and Destiny especially felt really out of left field.
Tokyo Sea is already a theme park. I almost think that would be a good ship name.
I feel like with it being over there too, like the naming, like even the names we have are still like within a frame of reference, I feel like. But they could just like be like, this is going to be whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even like have an example for what I think would be a wild name. You know,
all right,
I don't.
You guys can comment
yes, let us know what you think this next, the 4th Triton class ship is going to be named now. But I think that is a good place to take us out. Christy, you have anything else to add?
I don't think that I do.
All right. Well, that is gonna go ahead.
Just like that. There are a few people that have sent in requests to be on the show, and just know that like our schedules have been a little bit crazy to try to set up recording. Even recording this show was delayed by over a week, which turned out to be good because then we got to talk about the new ship. But we're not ignoring people or recording other shows. We're just not at the moment. So we will reach out when we can. I know that I have some travel coming up. Oh, I am going to be on the Utopia of the Seas next week. So definitely follow along, pack your pixie dust if you want to see what is happening with Royal Caribbean's newest like weekender ship, they're calling it. And I will try to post all the things.
All right. Well, that is going to take us out then. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
The DCL podcast is unaffiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.